So after Liverpool succumbed to a 6 defeat in 7 games in a 3-0 defeat to Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, is the pressure starting to mount on Arne Slot and his team? Is Slot making too many excuses? Here to dive a little bit deeper into this is Daily Mail journalist Dom King. Dom, great to speak to you. First up, Carabao Cup. It's a competition that Liverpool, they've won it twice in the past 4 seasons alone. There were 10 changes to the side, a lot of fringe players, youngsters. Did he get it wrong?
I was surprised by the team sheet, I have to admit. It was alarming. Do you know what I would say though is there was 6 full internationals in the team. There was a World Cup winner in the team. There was 2 young academy prospects that everybody's been raving about. So there was talent on the pitch. We have to make that absolutely clear. But there was nothing on there was a lot of inexperience on the bench, which suggested that if things weren't going to go Liverpool's way, then it would be very hard to change things back into their way. So I thought it was a risky team selection at a time when Liverpool really needed a win.
Well, I was going to say, because after the game, Slot made the point of mentioning about how Manchester City also made changes.
Before I went out, I saw City's lineup, and I don't think they had one starter from the weekend. But it felt as if you look at their lineup, they played with their 11 starters. So maybe it also gives a little bit of an insight that everybody has always said how big of a squad we are having. When we played Chelsea, I said they're missing 8, but they can still bring Estevao in. Now we're only missing 4 players at the moment, and already we needed to start with 4 players under the age of 19. And after I made 2 substitutions, we were on 6.
I think he was sending a bit of a message to say, nobody's criticising them, but they did win. And he mentions that, they rotate in general anyway. But like you say, when you're in need of a win and a bit of a confidence boost, surely a stronger team should have been fielded?
Yeah, I mean, look, Crystal Palace are a fabulous side, and they're in a really good moment at the minute. And I think it says a lot about them in terms of how they came to Anfield and were so professional in terms of how they got the job done, and they deserve to be into the next round. They're very progressive. The manager, the players, everybody's knocked out by how they're developing. Liverpool, if Liverpool had been if this had been a game in isolation and they'd have lost, you could have said, okay, fair enough. It's one of those things. But what the problem has been over the last month is this situation has basically been Liverpool. Liverpool have contributed to this massively. And the 3 games that stick out in my mind are Chelsea away, Crystal Palace away, and Manchester United at home. Because they had a point in each of those games, and in the final couple of minutes, they went for broke, left themselves susceptible, and obviously were caught with sucker punches. Now, if you transfer 3 more points onto Liverpool's total and 3 less defeats, the whole situation has completely changed, and there's not the sort of elements of panic around Liverpool. But they've been naive in games. Some of the team selection has been open to debate, and they're now in a position where they have to beat Aston Villa on Saturday night. That team selected on Wednesday means they now have to beat Aston Villa, and that's another added layer of pressure.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, the next game against Aston Villa on Saturday night, live on talkSPORT. Then you've got Real Madrid. Then you've got Manchester City the following weekend. Is it not only that Aston Villa game they've got to win? Do you feel like fans will be, in a perfect world, they'll be wanting, 3 wins out of all of them? But if that doesn't happen, is his job seriously under scrutiny?
I wouldn't entertain that kind of talk at the moment. I wouldn't. I've seen some of the social media posts and reactions to a piece that I'd written for Mail Online. It was published on Thursday morning, and some people were saying that he needs to go. I find it remarkable that people can talk in such disrespectful and harsh terms. I understand that there's pressure in football now, but there's absolutely no way you can be talking about it. But on the flip side of that, he's the manager of Liverpool and he's expected to win games. And nobody has foreseen this coming. This sort of dramatic drop off where players are looking lost. And there was the game at Brentford last Saturday night when Virgil van Dijk had ended up playing as a centre forward, and I think four of the team ended up playing at right back at one point. Sorry, through the course of the game, there've been four different people playing at right back. That gives the impression that they haven't really got a backup plan to what they're doing. And he's too smart a manager, Arne Slot, for that to be the case. There's too much talent in the squad for that to be the case. So they really need to. In some ways, sorry if I'm rambling, but these are three brilliant games to have. Top level opposition who themselves are going to go for broke. So maybe it'll suit Liverpool to be in a sort of dust up where they can play football. European nights at Anfield, we know what they're like. There'll be an awful lot of emotion around the Real Madrid game. Maybe they are playing them at just the right time.
Yeah, that's true. You make a good point. And talking about Arne Slot, I feel like the pressure is double, tripled, not only because it is Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but because of what he achieved last season. And you mentioned social media. There's been a lot of people talking about if he's making excuses about, the long balls, the set pieces, the squad not having enough squad depth. Do you think that some of it is justified, or do you think that, again, with him being such a good manager, he just needs to figure out a way to adapt things and change things?
I think one of the things that people are overlooking in this is the culture that he comes from. He's Dutch. He speaks his mind. He's not going to change. He's not going to change for anyone in terms of being cryptic in messages or being quiet. He says what he thinks. He's forthright with the players. He leaves no sort of ambiguity with what he's saying in terms of his message. And I don't know whether people are expecting him to make excuses or I don't know. Are people looking for a bit more humility to say, yeah, we deserve to lose or whatever? I don't know. All I know is how he sort of manages himself in terms of that sort of absolute confidence in his belief. In his methods, and that's it really. I just think he's not going to change.
Now, a lot of people again talking about the signings, the £400 million in the summer that was spent. Where do you sit with these arguments about the players not slotting in yet? About Hugo Ekitike. In hindsight, was spending so much money on both Alexander Isak and Ekitike, maybe a strange allocation of funds, because Slot has pointed out that the squad isn't as deep as some of their rivals. Do you think that it's a lot is being made of these players not settling in, because they're not the only players in the Premier League that haven't hit the ground running?
No, they're absolutely not. But the problem, or it's a headache, I think at least that's the best way of phrasing it, is when a player arrives at Liverpool for such a big amount of money and there's such a massive fanfare around the deal, then the expectation is immediate results, big performances, goals in games and what have you. And at the moment, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak haven't done that. They haven't. Alexander Isak doesn't look fit yet. And the niggle that he picked up around Eintracht Frankfurt came at the worst possible time, because he could have done with playing against Crystal Palace. That would have been a really good, another chance to get 90 minutes under his belt. Florian Wirtz, I've been watching him really closely in games, and I'm convinced that there's a brilliant player waiting to explode. I just think some of his running off the ball, the touch that he's got, his vision, it's gonna happen at some point. But on the flip side of that, he needs a moment to quieten everything down in the same as the team. He needs to sort of deliver in in one of these 3 games against Villa, Real Madrid, or Man City to show people why there was such a clamour for a signature, why, you know, Pep Guardiola was desperate to sign him. Real Madrid would have taken him in a heartbeat, but he wanted to come to Liverpool. I've made an analogy to a couple of people that at the moment he looks like someone trying to cross a motorway, in terms of it just everything's happening so fast. And he's like, which way do I look, right or left, and how can I get there? Maybe it'll just take him another few weeks to adjust, but it would be nice if he provided a reminder of the talent that made him the British record signature at one point.
And I guess the thing about Liverpool is they don't have a track record for not making good signings. The recruitment has been, you know, impeccable from them. So you would like to think that he will find his feet. Finally, one player that seems to be, you know, a hot topic is Mo Salah. Last season, he basically said to Slot, you know, he'd do less pressing, less tracking back, and in return he'd score, you know, more goals than everyone else. This season, we're not getting that. We know that he's without his partner in crime, in a sense, with Trent Alexander-Arnold. How do Liverpool fix this issue?
Yeah. Do you know, I think that there's something in the background that is there that we all know about, and it's not going away. It's the impact that Diogo Jota's passing has had on everyone. And if you were at Anfield on the opening night of the season, if you were watching on TV of how emotional he was in that game at the end, and this is something that they're dealing with at the same time. They're in a horrendous run of work form, and then they've got this personal issue, all of them that they're dealing with, that is even more important. And it really does put what we're talking into perspective, that, you know, they haven't won a few football games, things aren't going right. I know people are unhappy about it, but it's been a very, very, very difficult few months, and I still think there's something lurking in the back with Mo that's affecting him. And rightly so. He was they were very, very close. So that is one layer of things that he's dealing with. His own form, he would be the first to acknowledge that it's not been good enough. There's been a bit of a drop off through the season. But I've also known from the 8 years that he's been at Anfield that the moment you start saying that he's gone over the other side of the cliff, he comes back and scores 8 goals in 12 games. So you wouldn't be making any sweeping generalisations at the moment about Mo Salah. He's got too much class to even evoke that kind of debate.
I completely agree. I think one thing, if you were to describe Mo Salah, I think class is a word that definitely comes up. And who knows, maybe these next 3 games, like you say, it could be the perfect time to face Real Madrid. It's a match that, for the neutral fans, they absolutely love to see. And like you say, I think that Arne Slot's got enough in the bank to ride out this storm, and I think that by the time that we're at the end of the season, I don't think we'll be thinking, oh God, do you remember that time when they dropped off for a little bit and then came back?
I know. Exactly. And do you know what? Can I just say one other little thing about Mo? He's 2 goals away from 250 for Liverpool. Now, people might be a bit blasé about that, but I've grown up watching Liverpool's records and reading books and listening to stories from the past. And, you know, you've got Ian Rush and Roger Hunt, who are absolutely mythical figures. Gordon Hodgson, people like that, names from the past that like almost comic book heroes. And Mo Salah's got ahead of most of these people within 8 years. He's been extraordinary. He's been absolutely incredible what he's done. And I am absolutely convinced that people haven't fully appreciated just how good he's been. In 10 years' time, they're going to look back and just be looking at his numbers in the Premier League, everything that he's won, the achievements. He's matched Thierry Henry in personal accolades and everything. We always used to say Thierry Henry's the best that there's been in the Premier League. Well, Mo Salah's got more goals and the same amount of trophies as him, with a Champions League as well. So let's just remember that.
Yeah, you're right. And I always think that. And unfortunately, it will be one of those situations where once Mo Salah departs the Premier League, and like you say, a bit of time goes by, it will be then when people look back and remember how many incredible moments he gave, not just Liverpool fans, but I think football fans, the goals that he scored, and like you say, the volume. He is a very special player, and I agree with you. I think that we will see the best of Mo Salah this season. It's just a little blip, like you say. But Dom, thank you so much for joining me. And Liverpool fans, let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget that this video is in association with our own bookie, talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or head to talksportbet.com if you want to get involved. 18 plus T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org.